As we reflect on the results of 2009, it's also important to look ahead into what 2010 may hold for the beef cattle industry. And joining me in the studios today is the Chief Executive Officer of NCBA, Forrest Roberts. Forrest, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Well, as we reflect back on 2009, what would you identify as some of the key successes of NCBA this past year?
I would say, Kevin, that it would start with early in the year, we looked at the need to have a strategic plan just for NCBA. And one of the things that came out of that strategic plan was a need to focus in on more about our purpose and what we stand for and what we hope to accomplish in this industry. And that purpose was defined as to earn the right to be the trusted leader and definitive voice of the beef industry. So that was one of the first cornerstones of what I would see to be a success of 2009. A couple of other things, and as you well know, we are a proud contractor to the National Beef Checkoff Program, which is administered by the Cattlemen's Beef Board. And there were 2 or 3 projects in some of the work that we did there that I think stand out in 2009. First is what we call the MBA program, the Masters of Beef Advocacy program, which is all about training producers on how to become those advocates and those spokespersons, if you will, for the industry and really tell their story about how beef is produced in their operations. And that's a program that we've got over 1,600 producers certified in now. So that's a really neat highlight for 2009. We then took that and took a little more aggressive tactic with what we called a food fight campaign. And that campaign was all designed to be able to have those, and some of those producers that participated in the MBA program, be able to use tools like letters and newspaper ad placements to be able to then take on some of the activists that are out there in the world we live in, and really, again, tell the story of about how beef is produced in this country, but I think more specifically in a way that just demonstrates the thanks that we have to the farmers and ranchers across this country. So those would be a couple there. And the last one that was really neat and exciting to see is what we call our Beef 101 briefings. Okay. And those are briefings, and if you think about the new administration that's in D.C. today, it's an opportunity to educate lawmakers and their staff about, again, how beef is produced in this country, but also educate them on some of the issues that are important to the cattle industry. Issues like food safety, issues like appropriate or proper administration of antibiotics. So, you know, if I back up and look at 2009, starting with our strategic plan and our MBA program, our food fight campaign, our Beef 101 briefings, those are some things that really stand out to me.
Real cornerstones. Well, we'll project ahead to 2010. You've hit on a couple of the issues, but what would you identify as some of the key issues for the beef industry in 2010?
I would say 2010 starts with the look in the global world of what's happened with our economy. Sure. And when we think about that impact in our industry, it starts with looking at that picture of beef demand. Beef demand has softened, as you well know, and there's been some trade-offs that consumers are making and have been making. So that has a direct impact to what does concern us as the area of profitability and the shrinking position of profitability for a lot of beef producers across the country. So when you think about the changes in our infrastructure as a result of that and what's happening in our economy with the recession, that would be top of mind. When we think about our business environment, some of these real key issues, issues that would maybe become legislation that would impact these farmers and ranchers across the country, those are absolutely top of mind here in 2010. And I think that when we talk about export access, and market access into some of these key export markets like Japan and China, that still remains to be at a very, very high level of a priority and a challenge that we're continuing to work through. So those would be some that I would highlight as we think about 2010 and as we head into this year.
Clearly next week, a number of people are going to gather in San Antonio for the annual industry convention. And I'd be interested to know, what are some of the key issues you think are going to be discussed and voted on down at that convention?
Well, it's going to be a neat opportunity for folks around the country, not just in the great state of Texas, but folks around the country to be able to convene and take a deeper look at some of these issues I was just referencing. So specifically, when you think about our business environment, some of these issues that we're facing in Washington, D.C., whether it be on estate tax, or commonly known as the death tax, or issues that center around climate change, or EPA regulation, or even what's happening now with some of these competition hearings in looking at how cattle are marketed in this country, those, I guarantee you, will be some really specific issues that folks will have an opportunity to take a little deeper look at our annual meeting. I think when you look at the area of beef demand, the strategies around how we turn the corner and increase beef demand, as well as open some of these export markets, will be top of mind in the discussions in San Antonio. But last but not least, our organization is going through a lot of change. And the ability to look at how we make more effective, more efficient business decisions is what has been the work of a producer-led task force over the past 18 months. We call it the Governance Task Force.
Sure.
So we're looking at some pretty major changes to our governance structure, and the concept of that structure will be voted on in San Antonio at our Board of Directors meeting after there's a lot of discussion around the pros and the cons of it. And the ultimate outcome of that is how do we make NCBA an organization that's more effective, more efficient, and more nimble, so that those decisions that are made in this organization truly impact the beef producers across this country in a positive way.
Sounds exciting. What would you tell people who may have never been to a convention like that? What would your message be to folks like that?
Well, I'm very excited about my first convention being in San Antonio. That's my home state, and that's my home area, so we're very excited about that. But if you think about the first part of why people come to a convention, it's the opportunity to be engaged in the process. So when we think about policy that's derived at the end of the week and voted on at that Board of Directors meeting, it starts with all of that grassroots input all the way through the committee process. All the ideas and the angles on the issues are vetted through that process. And so the first part would be the opportunity to engage. I think the second opportunity for folks coming to the meeting in San Antonio is to learn something in the way of education around production practices, maybe new methods that they can look at in their operation to be more effective, maybe more efficient, and even more profitable. So that would be a second one. A third one would be when you think about the opportunity to have a network and meet other like-minded producers. That's a great opportunity to expand your network and meet people from across the country that participate in the beef industry. And last but not least, we want to spend a few days there and also have a little entertainment and a little bit of fun. We're really proud to launch a very new initiative this year, and it's an NCBA Invitational, which is a PBR, Professional Bull Riders event that's sanctioned by the PBR. And so we're looking forward to wrapping up the week with that on Friday evening. Yeah,
that sounds like a lot of fun. We're going to get you on a bull, is that right?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Forrest, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you,
really
Kevin.
appreciate
you having me.
You bet. For more information on the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and the issues the organization is working on in 2010, visit beefusa.org.